Working in teams is another important topic that contributes heavily to your success in your groups. You'll find readings and videos that I'd like you to study carefully, but I'd also like you to discuss an abstract version of the overall concepts. First, I'd like you to think about why working in teams is so difficult. Some of the reasons I heard include communication, delegating, depending on each other. Group work can be completely unbearable. You can be the most approachable person, but group work can still be a stressful task. Professionally, however, there is hardly a moment where you aren't working in groups. And developing the tolerance and ability to work in teams is now a must to succeed in the workplace. In fact, an article by Time magazine defines leadership and teamwork as two of the real reasons new college grads can't get hired. A survey by Workforce Solutions finds that more than 60% of employers say that applicants lack communication and interpersonal skills. To help you overcome some of these challenges, I will address why conflicts occur in your group, stages of team development, and some best practices to navigate team projects. So why doesn't group work? Well, studies suggest that personal interests over-sabotage team spirit. Ambition turns into tension, and getting ahead beats getting along. The idea of fairness is another reason that people often check out of a group. Tuckman's model suggests that every team starts with forming. That's a high note. At this stage, the energy is high in the group. People are excited, they're passive, and everyone is overly generous in offering what they can contribute to the team. After that initial meeting, teams typically don't revisit any of the tasks until the deadline is tight. And at that stage, we see side effects of work avoidance as discussed in my previous video. And people turn on each other. Tuckman calls that the storming phase. Here, people are ready to strangle each other. It's a low point. And the idea of unfair is highlighted in everyone's minds. Groups are lucky to make it out of this stage. But those that do, get back into the next stage in team development, referred to as norming by Tuckman. Norming is where a group sets expectations and tight deadlines, only because they unite behind a purpose. But they don't necessarily get along. Feelings of entitlement are still lingering, and people are willing to do the work, but they really can't wait for the project to end. A select number of teams make it through this stage when they start achieving wins together, and they get into the stage of performing. In performing, work doesn't feel like work anymore. The teammates make it into each other's list of lifelong network. You start experiencing flow, which is when you're working together and time flies and productivity is high. Tuckman argues that every team experiences all three of the stages before getting to performing, but that the key to getting to performing is to reduce the storming. So how do you think you can reduce the storming phase? In my experience, the best way to reduce tension during storming is to set better expectations during the initial forming phase. You do that by setting clear goals, not by being overly friendly, but by being realistic, by establishing a clear time frame for when things need to get done, and by dividing the roles and responsibilities from the get-go. This, of course, means that each of you needs to come into that meeting after you've reviewed the syllabus, the final project, and the group projects presented in this course. This may sound simple, but it can make a large impact on your team's success. Please think about these concepts carefully and show up prepared for each of your team meetings.